Today, I want to talk to you about confidence. But before we go there, let me tell you about myself. My name is Vivek. You might have issues calling my name. Usually people have, so after trying for 2-3 times, the conversation goes like this. What's your name? Vivek. What? Vivek. What? So I just give up and I say Vitek. So yeah, you can call me Vitek. And today we are going to talk about, this is a bit cheeky title, right? Are you confident it works? What works? And what is confidence? So let's look at the definition of confidence first. Wow. That is not confidence. What happened there? I don't know. Oh, that's weird. I'm just trying to switch slides here. Okay, let's continue. So yeah, confidence is the feeling or belief that one can have faith in or rely on someone or something. So yeah, keywords of faith, trust, belief. In our context as developers, what I'm talking about is to have faith, to have confidence in our code, in our applications. How many of you here feel confident of your day-to-day job? That the things which you wrote today are not going to break tomorrow? Wow. You see what I'm talking about? So yeah, this is very important. So I was thinking about the same thing. For example, an engineer who manufactures cars, right? So let's think about that. Do you think they are confident about what they are producing? People actually die in those boxes. So I think they have to be confident, right? But why aren't we? So let's come back to this. What I want to say is that if we are more confident, then our users will trust us. So I believe that the applications written by more confident developers will have a very trusting. There are quite a lot of things which we can do to improve our confidence, and we will go to those things, and we'll talk about that. But first, we need to talk about people who we make these applications for. Who do we make these applications for? For okay, so we create these applications for users, but somehow, because we are not confident enough, we are taking our users for granted. This is a very important quote. This is a very deep one for me. If you think your users are idiots, only idiots will use it, which means nobody, right? An idiot. Do you know who says that? Anybody? Anybody wants to take a guess? No, not me. It's a very popular person. Wow. One more time? No. Somebody said Steve Jobs. This is something which everybody thinks that this was said by Steve Jobs, but it isn't. So, Linus Torvalds said that. And yeah, he is very frank about his feelings, right? So whatever he feels, he's going to say that to you. He's going to send a very angry email letter to all the collaborators of Linux. So this is his quote, that if you think people are idiots, your users, then only idiots will use it. And I think it's very important because we are not giving respect to our users, which they deserve, by not being confident at what we are doing. So why do we not have the much needed confidence in our code? We just did a raise of hands and only 2 people were really able to say that, yes, we are confident that it's not going to break tomorrow. Forget about 1 month later. Why? So there are a lot of techniques that we can use to safeguard our code, just so we know that it's not going to break. And if it does, we will know about it before pushing it to production, right? But we don't have time for that. Somebody convinced us, right? Business people, just like Tomek said. So somebody along the way convinced us that we don't have time for that. And as Tomek also said, that you're going to, if you try to save time, you're going to spend more time. And this is how it works. But yeah, so yeah, saving the time, we're trying to save money. And do you know how much money we lost as an industry because of the software bugs creeping into production? Anybody wants to take a guess? How many billions? Several, yeah. Several billions. 312 billions, that's the number. And that's what software bugs cost us per year. And this number is from 2013. So our industry has grown multiple folds by then. So I'm assuming that this is trillions now. I could not find the updated data. So how can we save this much money? This is a truckload of money. How can we save this? Just stop writing software, right? But there is a more realistic way, I think. And that would be to find your bugs early. If you don't push them to production, then you will be able to save that much money, right? So yeah. And you're going to save time, money, and frustration down the line if you find those bugs earlier than before they go into production, right? And how do we do that? Louder, please. Testing. Yeah, testing. So test your code. How many of you write your tests for every single feature you ship? Wow, right? So 3 or 4 hands. And everybody gives this talk. Like every time you go to a meetup, every 3 months somebody is going to talk about testing. But we don't do it. What would it take for you to start writing tests? I am guilty of that too. Because estimations, right? So coming back to money problems. So somebody estimates that, okay, it's going to be ready in 3 months, and it's not going to be ready in 3 months. And if it will be, then it's going to break in next 3 days. So, yeah, let's think about users of our applications for a moment. Do you guys know that Google has a philosophy that they say it's like the list of 10 things we know to be true? And the first one in the list is focus on the user. Oh, by the way, if you were watching Chrome Dev Summit, which happened yesterday, there were a few talks where they mentioned about user. So yeah, first one is focus on the user and all else will follow. So just concentrate on your user. What does that say with regards to testing? Let them test, right? Let your users test. But how would you find so many users to test? So that's when end-to-end testing comes into play. You don't need all those users. You write code to test your applications just like a user would use it or abuse it, right? So you're going to test the system and not just the components. This is what we are used to just test the input component, and that's fine. But if input component works when you click on the button, this is what end-to-end tests will help you to think about the whole application as a system, not as the little components which it is made up of, right? So for me, this is what confidence is. That I can say that yes, this whole flow is starting from login till checkout works as it should every single time. But wait. Just say no to more end-to-end tests. And it's the same organization that says that focus on the user and all else will follow. But they also oppose testing as a user. So we're not really concentrating on a user. Or something has gone wrong during the process, right? And what did go wrong? This is something went wrong, right? Wow. Oh, okay, I see. It's black, that's why. Anyways. So yeah. Till now, we have been writing tests using only one technology, different flavors of that technology, and we are never sure if tests are broken or we really are shipping something broken. So, and that's the problem. And what is the tool we have been using till now? Just for end-to-end testing? My finger. Yeah, that's a that's a good tool, but how do you automate your finger? So yeah, this is the tool which everybody was using till now, and now everybody is just running away from. So what are the issues? It's very slow. Every test run has to start another instance of the browser, and it's super slow. Flaky, like you can't have confidence on your test. Error messages are like, you could not see the slide because it was completely blank. But alien error messages, they're never, ever helpful. And there is no debugging. So, yeah. This is me. I tried to write some Selenium tests, and I gave up. So, coming back to this, just say no to more end-to-end tests. In the same post, Mr. Walker says that there is a section called What Went Wrong. And the number one point is end-to-end tests were flaky. And number two is developers had to wait until the following day to know if a fix worked or not. Wow. So if I push a fix, I'll have to wait until the next day to get to know if it worked or not. So something is wrong with the tooling, right? And this is what Cypress is going to improve. Cypress is an end-to-end testing framework, which is fast, easy setup. It has a readable API. How many of you are aware of jQuery's API? Only 3 people? I can't believe this. You guys are not aware of jQuery's API? Okay, cool. So yeah, the API looks exactly the same like that. Time travel and DOM snapshots. What is time travel? Can anybody step up? Yeah, exactly. So Kamil said that you can go back to any particular step and see what exactly happened. So this is what Cypress offers us. And I think this is the biggest selling point of Cypress, that you can run a test and go back in time. If your test failed or passed, doesn't matter. You can go back in time and see what are the steps the application took, how your application looked like at a particular moment of the test run, and see what went wrong or how did it look like, right? And this is very, very important. Now, automatic waiting. If you guys wrote some Selenium tests, then you know that you have to add wait for this many milliseconds every single time, and then try, and then just check your luck if it's going to work or not, right? So Cypress has that built in. So if Cypress is looking for, if you are trying to look for an element, then Cypress will just continue trying to find that element, and then if it finds it, then move on. And if it doesn't, there is a maximum time limit, which it will keep on checking for the element, and then if it doesn't exist or if it doesn't appear in the application DOM, then it will just move on and test will fail, right? So this is something which you don't have to worry about at all. I did not have to till now. Debugger and dev tools. So yeah, Chrome dev tools, everybody is aware of how they work and everything. And this is what is available in Cypress Test Runner, and which is pretty cool. So you can see all the network requests, for example, your application make, and what are the response you received. So this is something which you can visualize, and this is very helpful when you see, when you launch your test runs. especially when you're trying to debug what went wrong. Because if you are not trying to do that, then it's fine, right? You push your code, it runs, all the tests run in CI, and you're fine, right? But if something goes wrong, then you're going to need to start debugging. And that's when the problem is in our conventional tools. And documentation. Documentation is a very good one. I mean, right behind Vue, I guess. So if I had any issues trying to find something in Cypress, like how does a certain feature work, I could find it within 3 seconds. It's that good. I would want you to just go ahead and try and see how good the documentation is. You have to get convinced yourselves. So this is how easy it is to start writing tests for Cypress. You only go and do npm yarn, whatever life you chose. So and you install Cypress, and that's all. That's all you need. You don't have to go through these pains of setting up WebDriver and everything. So that's amazing. But okay. So much talk. How many of you are interested in checking some code? Wow, look at this. You don't know jQuery's API, but you want to see code. No, I'm joking. Sorry. So, yeah, this is what I did. So this is an application. It's how many of you are aware of this application? Nobody? Okay, so let me quickly just introduce this application to you. So this is a set of specifications for a medium clone. And you can write this application in whatever stack you want to do it. And it's applicable in the parent repo. It's available in, for example, React, Redux, Angular, Elm, and all kind of technology stacks for front-end and for backend. So what I did is that I chose one Node Express one and one Vue one, and I started to like have them set up locally and write tests for the application just to show you guys how it works, right? So this is what the application looks like. I can, for example, let's just log out first. So yeah, I can sign in. And I can write a new article. I can publish it. Other users can comment on the article, or favorite, unfavorite the article. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So very basic version of Medium. And also tags are available here. You have some settings. So pretty much very basic version of Medium. And I wrote some tests for this. And let's check out code now. But before we check out code, I want to show you how Cypress works. So let's run some tests, right? Wait a moment. All right. Whoa, 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 wow. Okay. Can you see it? So this is the Cypress test runner, and these are all the tests that are available in this repository. So I wrote, for example, first, I can't zoom it, I'm sorry, you can't see in the back, I guess. So these are all the tests that I have. Now let's just try running these tests, right? And here you have option to change, to pick up which browser you want to use. So you want to run it on Electron or Chrome. And yeah, before you ask, other browser support is also coming, but not, I guess, Internet Explorer. That's never going to happen. So I know this question always appears. So let's run all the tests. Oh, don't fail me now. Okay. Oh, wow. That's all. So isn't that fast? And it's that fast. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You triggered me. Sorry.
Sorry. So it's that fast that you can actually write live tests. So while you can even do test-driven development with Cypress. And this is something which is really amazing about it. And I can't get over the fact. But yeah, let's go. Well, let's check some code, right? So I'm going to close it. And you can't see it, so there's no point talking about it. But let's go here. Where are you? No, no, no. There. Can everybody see the code at least? Anything? Yeah. Okay, cool. So as you write in Jest, for example, this is exactly what it is. So before running, this is my unauthenticated application test. So if I'm not logged in, this is the test I'm running. So for unauthenticated area of the application, what we need to do is to check if we are in the right application. So first we are trying to visit the main route, and then we are checking if we are in the home page. How we check that? We just check for the text. If there is a text that says conduit, this is our application, right? We could do a lot more complex tests here, but that just depends upon your use case, right? But in this case, that was enough for me. And my nav bar should have home, sign in, and sign up links. And this is what it is. Because my nav bar have different links when I'm logged in. So I can rely and say that every single time, if I see these 3 things, then it means that my application is logged out. As simple as that. And I'm on home page. But let's try to log in. So what I'm doing here, on line 2nd, I'm trying to get the input for email. Line 3, I'm trying to get input for password. And on line 4, I'm just submitting the form. And that's basically it. So now Cypress will try to log in using those credentials which I provided on line 2 and 3, which is batman.com and batman123, right? These things you can even store in environment variables. So you don't need to expose these details. And then after submitting the form, you can see that we are not trying to wait and check the response here. We're basically just submitting the form, and then we are checking if we are redirected to base URL and if our navbar just here. Now navbar has changed to settings and the name of and the username. And that's basically it, right? So this tells me that we are logged in. But now we are logged into the application. Now let's try to test something else within the application. But what we can test inside the application, we have to log in every single time, right? So every single time we are trying to test anything within the application, we have to log in. And we don't want to do this, right? I mean, we could actually do this before each, but we don't want to go to the UI page because as Cypress runs in another instance every single test, so it will have no memory of your logging in. So you will have to try to log in again and again. To avoid this, because this is going to add up to your test time, right? So to avoid this, once you really test your login flow, there is no need to try to log in again and again with UI because we are confident now that our login flow works. So we don't need to do that again. So to make up for those test times, we have something called Cypress commands. So we can set application state, make network requests, do whatever we want to do within commands, and just use these commands. So for example, here what I'm doing is creating a login command, asking for username, email, and password, sending a post request to my login API route, and then that's it. And then whatever response I'm getting, I'm setting it as a token, and I'm done. I don't ever have to go to the UI after my login test is done. to test this thing because it's kind of redundant, right? So that's pretty cool. Now let's test for a new article page. So new article page is the page where we try to create a new article. But what I want to bring your attention to here is that is line 2. You can see there is a before function. So before all your tests run, you can run a piece of code. And what I'm trying to run here is reset database. So before every test runs, I'm resetting my database just to have a clean stage, right? And how does that work? But before we go there, let me just explain what is going on. I'm resetting the database, and before every single test run, I'm trying to log in as Batman and then visiting the route where all my tests will run, which are somewhere here. So what does... wow. This is weird. Yeah? Okay. So this is what... no. Yeah. So this is what my reset database piece of code is doing. That it's executing npm script, which is reset database. And then I'm creating 2 new users. I decided to create 2 new users because one user would be creating an article, for example, and second user would be, for example, writing a comment in an article published by first user. So that's why, because of all these interactions, you can, of course, create as many users as you want using this logic. But for me, because to test these interactions, these 2 users were enough. And what's happening in reset database here? So in reset database, I can run any node script. So what I decided to do is to clean up my database. So as you can see in line 4, for example, I have conduit test. So there is a separate database I have created only for tests. So that way, I'm not deleting whatever I have in my production database. I only clean up my test database because that's what I need, right? And then I'm dropping everything. And as you already saw, and then creating 2 new users with those specific values. And then I'm able to test everything I want within the application. So if you want to take a look at this application, it's available. It's mainly tests written. You'll have to set these front-end and back-end application on your local list. All the instructions are there. So if you want to check out these tests, it's available on Bitly, Real World, Cypress. All right. So that's a lot of it. Do you guys want to see more code? Whoa. That's crazy. Okay. So let's go to, because I don't have it in slides now. So.
Can you change your theme to line function?
Oh wow, right, yeah. Is it this one? Light? Oh, yeah. Can you see it now? Yes. Great. So this is, we already did new. Let's try view. So this is a test for viewing an article. So what, for example, here you can see in utils, I have created different functions which are cleaning up stuff, right? But now come to think of it, I probably don't need them. Okay, because now I'm cleaning up the database. But before I wasn't, and that's why probably it's left. But let's go ahead and see if we really don't need them. So I will just show you how these functions look like. So here I'm getting all the articles. Here I'm deleting all one article. Here deleting all the articles. Basically, all the things which we are used to doing in our applications, we can bring them in our tests. So this is pretty cool. So let's go to what we were doing, article view, right? Yep. So here here you can see I'm calling setup, and then I can in setup I have user, and then I'm clicking on the title that like the article title which my first user posted, and then I can actually log out and log in as another user, and then test everything which another user can do. So for example, they can comment, they can do favorite. Let's just run that test one more time to make it okay. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay. Was it article view or new? View. That's right. So I can choose only one text, right? This, yeah. So like I can, this is how my application look like at this particular stage. So as you can see, I can go through each and every step of the test run and see how my application look like at that moment. And that is very helpful when our tests fail. It's not going to fail now. I don't know why it's not failing. Probably they're good tests. But yeah. So this is very helpful. Now, coming back to... All right. If that's not enough to convince you to start writing tests, what? Seriously? Oh, okay, there we have it. So Cypress Star Unit Test is a set of libraries, wrappers really, to write unit tests that will run within Cypress Test Runner, which you just saw. So you can write unit tests for your components using Cypress React unit test or Cypress Vue unit test, and run your components as a separate application within Cypress Test Runner and test your component where you can see output not in your terminal, but visually in Cypress Test Runner. So it's like a storybook, but it works. That's pretty cool. You should try that. So yeah, I think that is all from my side. I started writing these tests about 4 or 5 months ago, not this one, in production code, and I'm pretty happy with that, and that has increased. It's not like I can say that my test will never break or my application will never break, but I'm more confident in what I'm doing now day by day because I practice this approach. So yeah, I hope that you will start trying that, and that will help you bring your confidence level up a notch, because it did for me. So I hope that works for you too. And with that note, thank you.
Okay, Vivek, you disclosed me that I was not paying attention to full of your talk because I was tweeting. But are there any questions? Yes.
So can you create a scenario test? For example, you will create some part of testing, example, login, create new article with some title, it's a parameter, and then check that the title is inside the page. So the tester can read the test. He's not a programmer, but he can send you a text, the scenario of the test, and then it will call your particular part of the test, and it will, the not technical person can read a E2E test. It's possible in Cucumber with Gherkin language, but I think it's also supporting this one. Do you have experience with that or not? And how to do it?
If I understand you correctly, you want to know if a non-technical person can write these tests and work with them, right?
So non-technical person will send you a string. Login as a Batman, create new article with title test, check that the test string is inside the page. And also, the non-technical person can send you login to page, log out of the page, create new article, check that title is not inside the page. So the non-technical person can read a scenario that it will execute your particular test.
Well, I'm not sure about how to answer this because Cypress is not made with a non-technical person running tests in mind. It's made for developers, and developers should be writing tests for that. So if you have your scenario with you, and you will write your test while you will write a new feature for the application.
Okay, next questions, please. One.
Is there like a headless mode for the test runner?
One more time?
Like a headless mode? Because what we saw is that when you ran the tests, you got like an interface where you interacted, right? So can you do it completely in the command line, or
Yes, you
eventually
can.
integrate it? Okay.
Yes.
So it's possible
It's
to
possible.
integrate
Yes,
it
that's
with-
how you run these tests in your CI.
Oh, that was my next question.
yes,
Okay.
definitely.
And still one more question: is there any drawbacks in Cypress?
Drawbacks of Cypress.
Yeah.
Well, like I mentioned, that it's harder to write tests in some ways. So developers are responsible for writing these tests. So this is the main disadvantage, if you will, I see for Cypress. But yeah, that's I guess all of it.
But I guess that's something common to any other tool, right? That's about writing end-to-end tests,
Yes,
not
yes.
just about Cypress. Okay.
Thanks.
Okay, any more questions? From Łukasz.
What is the best way to touch DOM elements by using data attributes, classes, or maybe exact HTML elements? Yeah, that's the question.
What do you think?
Well,
What do you think? What would
to have a good order, I guess it's good to create a custom data attributes, yeah. But as we can saw on your slides, we can use classes, data attributes, etc. Yeah. So
It's possible. It's possible to use your HTML structure, for example, or for classes, tags, IDs, everything to find your element. But personally, I prefer these data test attributes. Just because when we work in a team, everybody knows what this particular string is and what is the significance of this thing. So if I actually change position of my input in the DOM, even then the whole team knows that, okay, this input element goes with data password, data CY password attribute. So this is the most important benefit for me. And this is why your test will not break for nothing, right? So yeah, that's what I think.
okay, approved.
Thanks.
Okay, so great applause for Vivek.
Thank you.